What's good, family and friends? It's your big homie TC Caldwell, BKA Storm E. Weathers, right here in Hip Hop Plaza, right down 95 South from Hip Hop Boulevard, the birthplace of hip hop, the Bronx, New York. And you are here in another episode of Inside the Music, the truth about the truth. And I am here with the best from the West, the Las Vegas Strip, King KC Cousin and King Don DeCosta, and the great one, K9 the Great, the godfather of Mov'emRadio.com. And you are here with another guest that we have where we interview musical legends and legends in the making. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for this episode's guest, Supreem Da Rezarekta. OG Preem, so first of all, introduce yourself to the people, how you introduce them, and then where you from, and them stern, hard, humble beginnings before we got who we got before us now. Let's start from the beginning.
All right, my name is Supreem Da Rezarekta, and I was come from Southwest Philadelphia. I came up through a crew called Dark World Entertainment with my man Dr. Shock, who was like our producer. He was like our, I guess, Marley Marl to the Juice Crew. Other than that, before that, I was a fan of the music. I was always around. Of course, I seen Beat Street breaking in wild style. I did break dancing, graffiti, and I gravitated to the MCing part. So I love the mic. I love the talking. I love my best friend, who's still my DJ to this day, Exotic D, gravitated to the turntables, and we became students and fans. So they say you don't really in the business until you make your first record. So that's what Dr. Shock always told us. So all the years that we was with Dr. Shock from 1989 to 1996, we were just having fun. Not that it was a hobby, but we were in school. And then 96, we put out our first release as The Regulators. Me and my partner Kick, we finally joined forces. We became The Regulators, and it was on from there. We was a premier Philadelphia hip hop crew in a landscape with Ram squads and you know what I'm saying, a task force and 9 brigades, and people was getting deals. So we was in that mix of that pocket of Steady B's and Cool C's and doing big things. And of course, you know, we had the Urban Expression TV show and a lot of things going on in Philadelphia at the time. Cosmic Cab, who's still on the radio, was on the radio back then as a force of, like, this is hip hop finding itself. Like, hip hop wasn't as hip hop as it is now, where you turn on the radio, it's just people rapping. Like, hip hop had to fight for everything. So I come from the beginning where the fight, where you become a fan, then you become a participant, and then you become a warrior, because then from there on, you fighting for every little victory you get. So the Regulators gave me my fight in hip hop, and that's from Dr. Shock, Dark World Entertainment. And we was together for a long time. Like I said, either you knew us, you seen us, you heard us, but somehow you knew who the Regulators was before I became a solo artist and went off to the rest of the stuff.
Shout out to your Regulator squad, man. That was during the time as we was talking before we got here.
Yeah,
you know, we was crossing paths, man, and you know, we was doing our regional thing, and y'all was doing y'all thing around the region, and that was also a time when, you know, when Philly actually stood together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we was definitely a force to be reckoned with. People don't know, you know, Philly is the birthplace of gangster rap. People think it came from the West Coast. Nah, it came from right here. You know, but what it was, though, you know, per block is more rappers in Philly than New York. You know what I'm saying? And we had to go against those guys. So I remember y'all doing your thing and setting some stones in place. Like you said a lot of names that unless you was really in the game, or from Philly 9 Brigade, Task Force, Ram Squad, Tough Crew, everybody, looked up to all them fellas coming out of Philly. We had Yvette Money on a couple of episodes ago, and she talked about the landscape in Philly and, her being with Cool C, like you said, Steady B, Will Smith, and cats that put it on for Philly, man. So when you got with Dr. Shock, and, you got with your squad, who's the people that really carried you through, like you said, to that time when y'all was fighting? Who was mentoring y'all? Who was carrying y'all, keeping y'all in line, telling y'all which direction to go, how to handle this, how to handle what was coming your way?
Well, first of all, like I said, we was uncharted territory. The funny thing, how we got the name The Regulators, is from the movie Young Guns. And you remember how the old guy took the young guys who were outlaws and brought them in under his fold, and they still was crooked and crazy and nobody taught them nothing. But they was together, and they was under the tutelage of this older guy who knew a little bit more than what they did. I mean, all we knew was what we saw from Schoolie D, MC, like these is people I was fans of. Like these was my old heads today. Schoolie D and MC Breeze, Perry P, who's like a big brother. So I'm outside looking in at their success, like, yo, I want that. So we had Dr. Shock, who was like the older guy, guiding us to the promised land. And he went to a couple, what we call music conferences, the Impact up in Atlantic City. And he came back with like, yo, I got the formula. We've been doing it wrong. We got to make a record. Like, if we don't put our money up, so everybody had to put their little $400 up to make our first single, which was, and the crazy part about it is we put a whole record out and didn't even get it mastered. We didn't even know what mastering was. But that's what I'm saying. That's the stumbling part about it, man. We giving it to Baby DST, who's at a Busta Rhymes concert. Like, people was just giving us love and spinning our record on the strength of who he was. So we was getting to play. And the guy said, did you get this mastered? And we like, what's mastered? And he was like, oh, man. And he was like, I hate to tell you this, but you got to get a record got to be mastered before it becomes vinyl, or it's going to sound like it's, see, he said, you hear how it sound like, we in the what do you call that, the skating ring that not the skating ring, the ice skating ring, like on 39th up on Woodland, we had the armory. We had the armory. So it's a big skating ring. This is where they shot the movie, The Show at, with Biggie Smalls and Puffy and all them. Their concert was shot at this big arena. And he's playing our record at a Busta Rhymes concert and gave us a lesson on mastering, because the record did sound like, well, we thought it sounded the greatest record in the world, but when we found out that it wasn't because of mastering, it did sound like it was ping-ponging off the whole arena. And he's like, now listen to this record. And he'll play, a record that was mastered. Like, you hear the difference? So we got how many pieces of vinyl? we got like all these vinyls that we bought, the cassettes of a song that wasn't mastered. But we made the best of it. We got rid of it, just did what we had to do with it to get to the next single, which was in '98. Which was we actually got a video shot of that, and we got on Urban Expression, which was kind of like our MTV at the time. And
right. Played again.
Like, yeah, so you get on Urban Expression, that was it. That was the whole game plan, to get on this video show called Urban Expression as a guest, a host, MC, somebody just to get on TV. That was your way to get on TV for the weekend. So, that was our dream. We joined in all these rap contests trying to impress Ed Box and Shelly Shell, hopefully to get a chance to walk on Urban Expression. But it took 1995 for the Philly Rap Woodstock, where they took all the people that was kind of involved in the Philly Rap Fat Cat Clique, took us all down to the television show and to be interviewed about that. And that was like, we thought we won the lottery. It was the first time on Urban Expression. And this is 97, 95. That was 95. Yeah. So 95. Then we come out with the unmastered record in 96. And then we get it right in 98. And we feel like we on the road of really killing it. And then we break up in about 1999. So you know what I'm saying? So nobody taught us nothing. I mean, we learned as we went. So our mentor was Dr. Shock, who was the older guy who had to keep a control over all these little outlaw rappers. And it was about 9 of us. We, like I said, man, we was just as good, if not better, than the Juice Crew. We just didn't have the look that the Juice Crew had. Like, we didn't have the business around us that New York had. Like, you could throw a rock and hit a record company in New York City. In Philadelphia, you could throw a rock and hit somebody trying to rob you. As far as bad contracts, whack shows, horrible management.
Yeah.
This is what we did. But we were blessed to have a Dr. Shock because I wanted to get robbed. I wanted to get screwed. I mean, I wanted to, because I knew there was no other way we were going to get in. Everybody that got on got raped. So we was like, well, what are you gonna so it was like, the inevitable is if you get on, even if you're in New York, but just see, New York just had more people to rape you and had better business around you to rape you so you could get recovered from the rape a little quicker.
You know, that's so messed up, but it's so true, but it's so messed up, man.
And it's almost the same today, but at least you can control how you get raped.
Some ownership. Yeah,
you got a little bit of control of how you get raped today. If you get raped badly, it's because you should have had used what's around you as far as internet and other people's story and learned. But back in the day, you had to bend down, get you some grease.
Well, see, the difference with when back in the day when we started having to deal with that, and I was dealing with a different level before you. I might be a little bit older than you, you know, right. But the game got twisted because management became pimps. All managers were either the pimps or the suppliers, one of the two. And
I'm sorry to cut you off, but you know what you said. You know what was sad about that? They didn't know what they was doing.
No.
If you were going to pimp and rape and pillage like you was going to do, you should become Puff Daddy out of it. These dudes is raping you to be just as broke as you in another 2 or 3 years. Like you get raped and get broke immediately.
Did nobody understand the business?
They get raped and broke maybe a year or two later after they spend all the money they raped from you. And nobody's nothing. And you have a city full of everybody we was the bomb. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Remember when we did? Remember? And there's a lot of that in Philadelphia because a lot of people got turned off of their dreams because they was such a bad. And we just got blessed that we never had that bad story. Dr. Shock really protected us from ever having that story as part. Yeah, we didn't have no records and we didn't have no albums and we ain't going to tour. We didn't get signed by the major, but I'm still here. And a lot of those casualties are gone or cheering. They cheering me on like, yo, dog, you still doing it. And you're doing it on a level. You done been on tour and you done did it. And I'm sitting here like, man, I wanted to be raped like you was back in the day.
Yeah,
I felt
think about it.
Check this out. No, you don't, man. Check this out. I ain't gonna mention no names. I had a $350,000 raping, you know. So believe me, it changes your perspective on quite a few things. You know, it makes you have to decide what type of person you're gonna be for the rest of your life. Whether you're gonna do what you need to do and then get sent away. You understand? Or you just gonna punk up and go in the corner and try to live the rest of your life with your family.
See, and that's another thing. It just was too many gangsters. Like, you know, now the little rappers is trying to be gangsters and they want to be gangbangers. But back in the day, all the gangsters wanted to be management and record companies. Right. So, you know what I mean? You got to deal with that. You're a young man off the street and you got to deal with somebody that's threatening you and telling you you're going to go on this stage. And we just never had that. I mean, we had drug dealers actually like us and like us so much that because they was like drop money off on the steps to my producer and say, dude, I just have nothing to do with this extra money. Yeah. But you guys are so good. Take this money and go to New York and get you some records and he get the money back. And I used to be like, what the hell is wrong with you?
No, he did the right thing, man.
But hindsight, as a grown man, especially as a grown man that's a mentor to young kids today, I look back and say he did the right thing. And he used to talk me off the building a lot. Dr. Shock had to talk me off the building a lot because I would see the guys that I thought was really getting rich and getting money, and they would drive up and I remember this guy drove up in his white Mercedes. Brand new. He's like, yo, dog, we just got signed. And I feel like the biggest dummy. I'm like, we the only group in Philadelphia that's not signed. Everybody's signed. And I'll be hyped. And I'll be like, and he say, look, talk to me in 5 years and tell me where this guy's at. Tell me where the same guy's at in 5 years. And they pulled out all this money, give me some money so I can get some beer. And as if to say, youngin', y'all should have took the banana in the tailpipe like we did. Laughing at us. I'm mad. Because I'm like, man, I should be in somebody's Benz right now. So I listened to my OG. 5 years later, I said, you're 100% right. My man was working at like a fast food restaurant. You know what I mean? Talking about, yo, man, I'm so proud of you. You still doing it. You still doing it. And I'm like, damn, you was in that white car, man. You was ready to make me kill myself because I wanted a white Benz at the time. But so I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I am 100% grateful that I had somebody, because that's how easily kids can be impressioned.
Yeah.
Kids go the wrong way because they going by their mind.
Yeah.
Now, if you got somebody that say, so you young-minded, this is what you're going to do, but I'm older than you, and I'm going to keep you from crashing. But imagine how many of these kids that's just crashing and burning for no reason. And they don't have to if they just listen. Like, I was hard-headed, but I listened. I was emotional, but I listened. Like, a lot of these kids get emotional, and they do what they feel like they got to do. And I'm talking about kids in our era. Like, our era, getting robbed and pillaged for all the people don't even know what royalties is, let alone a master or intellectual property. And one thing Dr. Shock did for us, and I commend him for this. He said, we're not talking until you read this book.
This business of music.
This business of music.
I ran my company the same way. I got cats that been following me for the past 30 years. And they came to me recently and they say, you know, man, they say, if we wouldn't have ran into you, we would have did time. You couldn't work with me because I came from that element. I came from that element. You know, I had pimps put me in my first clubs. You know, I came from that element. So I knew what it was. You know, I knew what it was. I had very talented, close friends that were real close to me, like you talking about, that got the Benz and pulled up. And a year later, their shoes would roll out because it wasn't their Benz. It never was their Benz. They just had a car that they were able to drive for a minute, you know. But the temptations are what take you down the different roads, man. You know, you were very fortunate to run in the shop, you know.
Oh my God. He's my lifesaver. He's my everything. He's my best friend to this day. Because even though I didn't know what I was reading, I read word for word. It's like the Bible. I didn't know exactly everything in the Bible. I just made sure I read every word. And then as things start getting explained to me or contracts start coming down the pipe, I'm like, I read that in chapter 7. Now I see what that means. I'm reading the book and understanding it. Up until this day, somebody say something, I'm like, oh, that's intellectual property. That's and I'm reciting what I read from this business of music. And that
whereas hereunto. Whereas hereunto. One of the biggest phrases in the entertainment industry.
And the lawyers can't get past me, and they're impressed by me, and they're impressed by my new mentor, who is my new OG, Richard Waller. They're impressed. This man should be a lawyer. Like, I know what I know. He kind of solidifies what I know. I always had a Dr. Shock type in my life, from David Ivory to Richard Waller to the original Dr. Shock. And I always had this in every aspect of my career. I had somebody that's been in the game and kept me from the dirty part of it. Because I always say I'm living the Rocky movie. Remember how Rocky was sheltered? So he didn't know the dirty part of the boxing business because Mickey always protected him. And he always wondered why we not getting our belt or why we can't go for. And he like, I was sheltering you. I made sure you didn't see that part of the business. And so living like it's funny talking about boxing, but I'm a Rocky fanatic.
We'll get to that.
Exactly. But I'm just saying, like everything to me relates to Rocky, and I'm like, these dudes was like protecting me as being the Rocky from everything that I could have seen and knew about, because I'm friends with these other groups and like, yo,
yeah,
how is it to tour? How is it to? I had a guy laugh at me and be like, "What? You on the road? You ain't getting no per diem?" And I was like, "What's a per diem?" And he was like, "Man, they paid us $150 a day to be on tour, right?" So now I'm learning through this book and through the experience. When I went on tour, I found out that, okay, everything that this label and company and management gave him for per diem, they took it out of his royalty. Like he not getting no money for his record because his budget went to pay him while he was on the road. The object of being on the road is to get paid and then finance your way to the next city and finance your whole tour and get the profit from the door and get the profit from your guarantee, not to live off of a per diem unless you're doing like, which I'm sure everybody do the promo tour. If you want a major label, you got to do your promo tour. Nobody know you. So but you can't, but like the label said, you wanted to stay at the Marriott. You didn't want to stay at the Motel 6. You needed the tour bus. You didn't want the little van that we was trying to give you so you and your boys could drive around and do show after show. Y'all wanted the tour bus. All that stuff costs money. And nobody realized that yes, it does cost money. And somebody got to get paid back. And the person that's going to pay it back is you.
Hey, Bree, speaking of money, we got to pay a few bills right now. So,
yes.
That being said, that was a good segue, fam. When we come back, I want to reiterate on a couple of things that you said in that first portion of your answer that you was given. But we're going to take a break right here. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're going to be right back on Hip Hop the Music. Look, Hip Hop the Music, that's what we're doing. Inside the Music, Hip Hop Edition, right here on Mov'em with our special guest, Supreem Da Rezarekta. I'll big home. Be right back.
Let's stop fighting, we are one. Let's stop the killing, we are one. Let's stop the hate speech. Let's make this world a better place. Let's stop fighting, we are one. Let's stop the killing, we are one. Let's stop the hate speech. Let's make this world a better place to stay. One love, keep us together forever. One love, keep us together. I'm still waiting for that day when Muslim you join with Christian and praise God.
Good, man, it's your boy Chevy with Mov'em Radio, man.
What's good with you? This your boy K9, the great Mov'em Radio. Right now,
I'm in open mic night. It's your brother G Smooth. Now,
need you to tune in this episode of Inside the Music.
Music.
Welcome back, family and friends, to Inside the Music, the truth about the truth, with our guest, Supreem Da Rezarekta. We went to a little break. We were just hearing some important tidbits. You talked about getting your masters together, make sure your stuff is mastered. New artists, I hope y'all are paying attention if you're watching. Read about the business. You heard it right here. Reading about the business, getting your work mastered, knowing the difference in what that means to have intellectual property ownership, and all those things, which is what we teach and we talk about here. And bro, when you were mentioning what y'all were going through in the 90s with Dr. Shock, the strangest thing is when you was like, we the only group in Philly that ain't signed. No, y'all wasn't.
No, it was a lot. It was a lot, actually.
The thing was, it was a lot of us that wasn't signed, but it was a lot of us that were going through what you were going through, where it was a couple of us, only a couple of us that had already read the book. I had read the book. So when we were crossing paths and we were doing some of the same shows, the same venues, like you said, y'all should be getting paid if you're out here performing. Well, we had to work on getting paid because we went, like you said, we went the whole showcase route, the whole crazy whatever route until we started getting to some of them conferences. But learning that business is what gave us the leg up. And like I said, man, the regulators, y'all was holding it down because y'all was Phillies like Wu-Tang, because y'all was the ones that was a little scary. Y'all for real, y'all were a little scarier than Ram Squad and Task Force, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And then you had the North Philly and South Philly squads, and then here was y'all with the Southwest, but y'all had a little of a mix in. But just letting folks know and trying to get to the point, at what point after all of that Dr. Shock told you got Richard Waller, who we'll talk about because again we share him as well, and because of his business, he told me that I was in the right lane because of how I was carrying our group business wise, and as we talked, he engineered me our CD. You know what I'm saying? He engineered our EP CD. So when did you know? What was the song, or where were you when you knew that you made it and that you could do this on that level?
Well, actually, the funny thing is our second record. I mean, even the first one was so hip hop and gutter and grimy, especially for that 1995. Of course, after the Wu-Tang and Redman and Method Man and Mobb Deep and Biggie. So we was in that lane with that first record. But hearing that your stuff ain't mastered and it took away from the joy that we had, and it's like that song is good, but it's not mastered. So the second one is the one we had. A song called 6 Minutes to Show, and that had a concept that we had a video. Like the brothers that shot the video was shooting a movie at Temple, and they were film students, and they took their extra film because film was the thing. I mean, nobody had a video, period, let alone shot on film. So the guys had extra film, and they told us for a few dollars, I'll shoot you a video. So our video was the equivalent of the Roots video, who was signed at the time to Geffen and all that. And they had, and videos was like, a cheap video was $30,000. You know what I'm saying? So we had what would be the equivalent of a $30,000 video that we paid maybe about $600 for. And that was like the record that we was like, yo, this is real. Because we had the cassettes to go with the vinyl. They got on Urban Expression. So to me, that was the one. I mean, that was the one that I thought was going to, put me in that white Benz. but it actually, it was our first one. It was our first record that became popular to the streets and the radio. And it was a good song. I mean, it was a really good song. And the backside was what we usually do, which is flip bars and lyrics and just be really crazy with styles and lyrics. But for having a record that had a concept without slapping somebody or being a lyrical miracle, it was just talking about what goes on 6 minutes right before you hit the stage. And it was like, wow. Yeah. So that was the first record that made me say, man, we got something. But like I said, we broke up maybe a year later. but hey, that was the one that said, keep on going, because you got something, boy.
Got you. King Down, I know you got something for Supreem Da Rezarekta.
Yeah, actually, I just had a question. He has a very intricate name, Supreem Da Rezarekta. I want to know exactly where that name came from. Who gave it to him? What does it mean? Because like everybody else, I'd like to know that information.
No, that's my favorite question. That's my favorite question because it never is what anybody expects. Supreem Da Rezarekta, which means I'm the one and I bring dead things to life. That's now. But what it originally came from was, my name is Jamal. So everybody called me MC Marley Marl. That was my rap name, MC Marley Marl. Then I had a DJ, his name was Dave. And we called him DJ Davey DMX. So that was our rap name when we were coming up. So somebody was like, somebody's name Marley Marl, right? And somebody's name Davey DMX. Y'all got somebody else's name. So I was like, damn. So he's like, you got to change your name. So I was like, well, I'm going to change my name to. But I used to write graffiti, like I said, and I used to write Marley Marl, the MC Supreme. Marley Marl, the MC Supreme. And spelled Supreme the right way. So I said, okay, I'm going to drop the Marley Marl off, and I'm going to be MC Supreme. So from that day on, I became MC Supreme. And of course, then comes Wu-Tang Clan and God Bodies and 5% Nation. Everybody's Supreme Allah, Supreme Mathematics, Supreme. So everywhere I go, they would say, are you God Body? And, you know, if you don't know your lessons or your mathematics, you know, you can get dealt with. But I'd be like, no, I'm not God Body, but I do have knowledge of self. So they'd be like, okay, that excuses me because I'm not walking around with a righteous name and not knowing what comes with that. So I said, I got to change that. So I became MC Supreme. And plus it was so many, Supreme this, Supreme that. So after Wu-Tang, Supreme name became the most popular name. So as part of the regulators, I became Supreme the Regulator. Because that was like, we're not a group anymore, but I want people to remember I'm the one because they used to be like the ball regulator. Because they be like, where's the ball regulator? And I'd be like, all right, we're going to change that now. I'm Supreme from the regulators. So I was like Supreme the Regulator. So I kept it like that. And then, of course, years later, I became a member of a band called The Resurrect. And then that band dissolved, and I love that name, and I wanted to keep that memory alive. So I became Supreme the Resurrector because they was like, "Are you Supreme from the Resurrect? Are you Supreme from the Resurrect?" I said, "Yes, I'm Supreme the Resurrector." So, and the funny thing is, I didn't really want that to be my name, like legally or permanently, because I just wanted to be Supreme at that point. I was just happy being Supreme. But Facebook, I was being funny and changed my name from Supreme the Regulator. I was like, well, I'm going to be now, I'm Supreme the Resurrector. And they wouldn't let me change my name back. So I got stuck with Supreme the Resurrector. So I said, okay, you might as well marry it. And I got it trademarked and everything and fictitious name and doing business as. So, and it stuck around. And it kept me being original, especially the way I spell it with the SUPREEM. And it just kept me original, Supreme the Resurrector. And being part of Wu-Tang family, it's understandable that the name is Supreme the Resurrector from like 144,000 chosen few, who's also a Wu-Tang affiliate. So it just all fell into place. The name stays.
And Supreme, and I want to thank you. Well, I'm sorry, King Down, did I step on you?
No, bro. Go right ahead. I was just gonna say that him keeping that name is really good because it spaces him out from everybody else. And that name gives it, you know, that constant whereabout as to who you are. Okay, it doesn't cross the line into anybody else's lane. Okay, so you got your own lane. Anybody else has to cross into yours. Yours is legitimized. It's founded. So it's good, bro. It was a good choice.
Appreciate it.
And I just want to say this is why I love this brother, especially the way he puts on for Philly. First of all, in Philly, we are very creative when it comes to our name. So back when he had finally, because I remember he was MC Supreme, and then and like I said, the regulators, I wasn't afraid of them, but them boys, if you didn't know what was going on, you might thought you was great get rolled on. But
and the funny part about it, we just had. I was from Southwest. My partner was from like Hilltop, so he had his Hilltop friends. I had my Southwest brothers. My DJs out of D was from my neighborhood. Dr. Shock from West Philly, so we had all of West Philly that had our back, and we knew all the elements that was the criminal elements from each part of those hoods.
There you go.
So West Philly.
Wait. Hold on. We don't want to tank the interview too much because we'll.
and Ardmore, and we had like the suburb thugs that came up with Kobe Bryant. That's his buddies that rolled around with us, and these was our young guys, and they was like our youngins. So it didn't look like the Resurrect was an army, when it really was just three cool brothers that wouldn't hurt a fly. But our thing was, I guess, menacing. I mean, and it like I said, that stuff protected us from a lot of things, man. Like just that. Even though we the nicest dudes in the world that just want to play video games, but that image, I'm not messing with them because I don't know what's going to come. I don't know what's going to happen to me if I do them wrong. You know what I'm saying?
y'all had a presence, man. And like I said, we were in a lot of the same places, and we were kind of the opposite because you know what you saw. It was usually just me and my brother, or
Right.
me,
Yeah.
my brother, and my couple white boys. You know,
Right.
it was like, hey, white boys. You know what I mean? And like I said, when you had changed your name to Supreem Da Rezarekta back then, I was going by Two Bams the Immortal, and people was like, "What
Mhm.
the Immortal? Yeah, what's the Immortal?" Because once I had learned this business, I
Right.
learned that I could live forever.
Ever.
Because
Yep.
if I was just a rapper, I had a shelf life.
Yep.
But once I learned this business, I was immortal, dog. And like you said, you saw the white Benz and wanted to be in that Benz. I saw the white Benz too, but you want to know what? I wanted to be able to buy my own Benz. Wasn't nobody gonna put me in a Benz. You know,
See,
I wanted
they
to
forced me.
make sure.
They forced me to think like you. Cause I swear to
Exactly.
God, I mean,
And
I was
that's why I
forced
say
to
in
think
Philly,
to do
because
right.
for a while we were we worked together, but then we were isolated. And whereas I got a mentor, King Don DeCosta. This man accepted me into what he was doing, and him and my father are on that level in this music business. And when I told him about my dad and this, that, third, he said, "Oh man, I know your father's working and stuff." He said, "What did he do for you in the business?" He said, "Made me learn it on my own." Because when I was like, I need a manager, he said, "What y'all gonna be doing? Rapping or singing?" Rapping. Well, that ain't gonna be around, so you better find somebody else to help. Dang, but that was the drive that I needed, so that, like you said, when we were doing all those different shows around the city, when we shout out to Shelly Shell and Ed Box and the whole Urban Expression Squad, when we were doing Urban Expressions, and I get my shot as a host, the walk on host, and everybody gets their interviews for their acts and everything. It was like, damn, am I gonna get on there for a rapper? Or am I gonna be a host like what's up? Well, it was a combination of both. But when you finally got to that point and you saw and took spirituality and you put it in there, I think honestly, business wise, that's what we lose. That's what we lost. We lost the spirituality of knowing who we are, knowing what to do to make this thing work and be successful, not in the eyes of I'm walking around flashing money and doing 99 different things, but the fact that I don't owe nobody no money.
Right. Yeah,
Because
I don't owe nobody nothing.
if you had signed one of those, like, again, I can say this to you. How many of our friends signed those deals that's still jammed up to this day?
I'm about to say, still, some of them deals, if they put them out the garbage can or put them out, they still obligated to some of them deals. Like I said,
98.9 cents on a dollar if they make a record today. And we in our 50s, dog. Are like, what?
The only good thing about it, a lot of the people that made you sign it or wanted you to sign these things, they didn't know the game either. So they got you signing something that's gonna lock you in for life, and they have no idea. Like reading the Will Smith book, like all the stuff that they went through with the Goodmans and everything. Like they was able to get out of that. Like you stuck in this contract, especially if you stuck in it streetwise. Like, look, I'm a street dude, and I'm not letting you out of this deal because I'm a street dude, and I'm going to bully you to do this. But legally, they was able to, you know, you had to give them some money, but they was able to get out of that. So it says like every contract could be broken or gotten out of somehow, some way, whether it's through money or some legal loop or some a little, what they call the bywords that are not, you know, like some of the things are not. Every contract can get out of. You can get out of every contract. You know what I'm saying? They not holding because you can't tell me that these guys was holding up their end of the bargain. You know what I'm saying? Like the terms and agreements is if you do this, I have to stay a little longer. But they wasn't doing that part. So it was like easily to get out. A real lawyer could get out of half of these contracts that they made us sign or wanted us to sign back in the day. A real lawyer would eat a lot of these contracts up for breakfast and lunch. And depending on how talented the artists were that was stuck in these contracts, real lawyers got them out and then put them in some serious contracts up in New York City or California or whatever. But a lot of these Philadelphia artists, were in bad contracts. Like I said, I was just fortunate enough, and I had a couple bad managers or whatever. You know, we had a couple bad managers, but nothing that was like, yo, you owe us this amount of money because you didn't sell this amount of records. We were independent and owned every aspect of our music from day one. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
we own our copyrights.
I know ain't nobody hung you over. I know nobody hung you over no balconies. I know that much.
No, and not even
the whole city would have been burning.
and not even the fact that on that note, it's just you couldn't, because everything that I had was right. Like I just even as a kid, my people always told me just do the right thing. Like you said, put spirituality in things. Like the devil make the music industry look real good with women, drugs, and alcohol. Yeah. And so many people fell prey to that because it's sex, money, drugs, and rock and roll is the slogan. So, you know, like people say, how do crackheads get addicted to crack? And they see what happened in the 80s, but still people are still getting addicted to crack. It's got to be something to that. Like, how is people still trying to get in this music business on that level and know what comes with that type of success? Unless you really grounded, got some really good grounded people around you, and know your business. But other than that, man, it just looks like one big, what they call it, a cluster. Like it just, and it is what it is. Because and that attracts you, like, yo, I love these women, I love this drug, I love this whatever free thing, but nobody's saying, yo, I love owning my masters, I love owning the copyright, I love knowing what an intellectual property is, I love being able to read a contract and at least know what the contract is saying, and I might need a lawyer to double check it and confirm or Richard Waller to confirm it, but I know it. And I know it because I knew it from 1989. And like you said, we 50 years old, man. And there's no way in the world that if you still going to be doing this at 50, you should not be thinking as stupid as you was at 19 and 20.
Exactly. So let's get into something, man. I know you. I know you. Wu-Tang associate. You had regulators and everything you was doing. So tell us about the new experience, man.
Oh man, well, like I said, man, the new experience, I always was a part of, and this is something that's crazy too. Like even when the Roots came out, I was like, man, I'll never have a band because I'm hip hop. Hip hop to me is a DJ. If you ain't got a DJ, I don't need nobody. Every once in a while, Shock would play drums behind me while I freestyle, and we would do it live, and it was fun. I love drums. I love James Brown. I love drums. I love the drums, live drums. But I was like, I can't have no band because that's not hip hop. Like you being on Urban Expression, they wanted me to be a host. I'm like, I can't be no host. That's not hip hop. I'm like, I'm supposed to be on there getting interviewed, not interviewing. So you know, they showed me that that's not the right way to think. Dr. Shock, thank God for him, was like, while you on Urban Expression interviewing people, when you ain't got no record, you still on TV every Saturday. I was like, wow, okay, I didn't think of it like that. So then, as far as the band go. This rap thing is a ceiling. You're going to have the DJ and you're going to be the rapper. But what if you want to creatively go on tour with a rock band or really go on real tours where real bands go? So as I got older, I really felt the importance thanks to a diatribe and then started my own band, Supreem, Simple and Supreme. And then going to the Resurrect, I found out that there's so much more than what hip hop has to offer. I've done the Warped Tour. I've been on national tours. I opened up for HR from Bad Brains. I've done things that a rapper would not only not dream about, but have no clue what I'm talking about. And I've made money, and I've seen fans. I've seen a fan sing me my stuff word for word, and I don't even have a record out. But because this band is so popular that I'm with, I've seen bus trips, and this is all from live music. So of course, when I have a chance to do this on my own, I need that. I need all these experiences that I've experienced being in a band. I need this for me. I need to be supreme, and I need to bring a new experience. And everybody was like, "That's a great name." And that's when we started the 12-piece band. But now, through the years of being on tour, because I had to go back as a solo artist, I went on the road with a Whitney Payton and MC Bruce and 144,000 Chosen Few, my brother Judah Priest. So I've done, but the whole time in the back of my mind, I'm gonna put this band back together. And when as soon as I found the right ingredients, I had my DJ CL Smooth, I had Exotic D. Only thing I was missing was a drummer. And then found out 5 years later that the guy that was hanging with me, my young boy, who's married to my cousin, is a drummer, and he's a good drummer. And once we put him in, I was like, okay, my dream for Supreme and the New Experience has been reopened recently, and this is within the last year. And now I'm thinking longevity, like the brother that had to go to his gig. I'm like, 20 years from now, we're gonna have to go to our gig as Supreme and the New Experience, because we're gonna be. Everything went full circle. So Supreme and New Experience is like, I call it the livest band on the planet, because you got elements of hip hop. You got the live band element, and you got me as an MC that's an entertainer, not just a rapper, but a great front man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know about being a front man. I do rock star stuff.
I'm gonna tell you this, Craig. I did not know that you felt that way about the band, because we was kind of doing our thing with the Roots in their early days, and I love the Roots. And when we branched off, we found remember Quincy's on City Ave. Mm-hmm. Me and my brother started off going there, open mic Tuesday night, and then got invited back for Top 40 night with their band. Yeah. So we was making a killing with this band, and this was the 35 and over crowd in 97. You know what I'm saying?
And that was a kiss of death to me. Like back then. Like, I'm supposed to be trying to impress 25 and under. You know what I'm saying? Like 14 to 25 I'm hip hop. I'm young. I'm the young thing. You know, I'm not cool in the game. I'm not cool in the game. And I realized as I got older, man, Cool in the Gang and Parliament Funkadelic and any other band you can name that was from the funk band era, or any type of band, Elvis, whoever. That was just the coolest thing you could be a part of, man. Man, Black Thought been in this band from what, 89 to now? Man, I was like, why didn't I wake up back then? I'd have been started a band, but better late than never.
And they were such an influence on us, man. And that's the one thing about Inside the Music, Truth. What we want to talk about is we bridge the gap between, like you said, those large funk bands, those large bands that we found out. Some of them started off in the church. Some of them started off in the rec centers and then just put themselves together. And here they are, world-renowned groups. And
now you're a Commodore.
and now you're a Commodore. Look at what the influence that it had on hip-hop. And like I said, one thing that I will always say about hip-hop, we always love our music. We just didn't go about it the right way business-wise when we started using it in a lot of cases.
And that's my goal now, is like I tell Dave Irie, especially now, like a lot of the new stuff that we got coming out, there's no drum machine. That's why people be sending me tracks. They think I'm being ignorant. Like, I'm not being ignorant, man. I got a live band, and I want my music to be played live. Funktastic, the one that you like. That's all live musicians. It's like one musician, but he playing everything.
Stop right there. You got darn it. Well, you would have thought we actually planned it like this. Since you said it, this is actually the time for us to take our music break. So since you said it, ladies and gentlemen, right here on Inside the Music, stay tuned for Supreem Da Rezarekta's Funktastic right here on MovemRadio.com.
Put a shot in your body, the dip in your hip, but don't slip. I wanna hit it on the mothership. I'm funktastic. I'm funktastic. So loud, give me fire on the black inside. You better open up, baby, cause it's time to ride. I'm funktastic. I'm funktastic. I'm still pimpalicious, my whole team vicious. Bunch of rowdy cats with one bad bitch. Studio tripping, trying to get these tracks out. Up on the downstroke, pull the funk stash out. Now bring your mash out, making every booty shake. Coming up with clever lyrics, thinking what the pussy say. Sugar for the day away, Ohio play away. Dr. Funkenstein blowing minds like a Isaac Hayes. Take you off a layaway, put you in the shopping cart. Funk is in the building, on the one popping off, and I'm funkin' rock Just for the funk of it, still one nation. So come and get a chunk of it.
Put a shot in your body, the dip in your hip, but don't skip. I wanna hit it on the mothership. I'm fantastic. I'm fantastic. So loud, give me 5 on the back inside. You better buckle up, baby, cause it's time to ride. I'm fantastic. I'm fantastic.
Tear the roof off, the mother sucker. I'ma blow the doors off, make it so hot. Watch all the sweat pour off, wipe a little more off. Here, use my towel, baby. Nothing like the right show with the right ladies. Big pimpin' crazy like Bun B and Jay-Z. R.I.P. the Pimp C is just so amazing. Googly gazing, craving all the nice ones, funkin' incredible. Fellas want the wife one, here for the night, son. Off to the next town, new funk movement, spreading all the love around. People wanna come around, get up on the good foot, get your groove on. Word is bone, that's a good look.
Put a shot in your body, the dip in your hip, but don't skip. I wanna hit it on the mothership. I'm fantastic. I'm fantastic. So loud, give me 5 on the back inside. You better buckle up, baby, cause it's time to ride. I'm fantastic. I'm fantastic. Put a shot in your body, the dip in your hip, but don't skip. I wanna hit it on the mothership. I'm fantastic. I'm fantastic. So loud, give me 5 on the back inside.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Fantastic, baby. Listen, that's how we do it in Philly, man. We back with Supreem Da Rezarekta right here, Mov'emRadio.com. Inside the music. Great. Yo, thank you for that, bro. I really enjoyed that one, man. I told them straight up. I said, listen, y'all gotta listen to all of them, but I like Funktastic, baby. We gonna go see if we can get him to play Funktastic for us. So we pulled that out the vault. Yeah, no, I appreciate you.
A lot of people go to everyone except Funktastic because it's so different. Because they used to be being hype and rugged and raw and off the chain. But to go back to that, I mean, I channeled what's my man Isaac Hayes. Went back to the stack sound and Dave was like, yo, we're gonna sexy this song out. And I'm like, which is very unlike me, including the video being there where I put my lady up in there and everything. So it was like that. Just who's that lady? Who's that lady you was hooked up on? It was my girlfriend. Okay. Yeah, it was my girlfriend. And then so it was just something so different. So a lot of people was like, well, we love the song, but that's not you. But I'm like, it is me because everything I do is me. It's not might be what you want me to be at the time, but it's me. And eventually you're gonna see that it's gonna be a lot of Funktastics. Like me and Dave was working on a very eclectic record with so many Chuck Treese drums tracks and bass lines and things and Richard Waller drum tracks. But what happens is we're gonna actually I want 10 years from now somebody sampling my stuff. You know, I want to be sampled. I want to be sampled by the young kids because my music is still out there or resurfacing. Like we sampled a lot of the funk and hip hop for like we sampled a lot of the funk for hip hop records. I want somebody to do that for me, you know?
Yeah. You want those royalty checks.
I definitely want those. I want those all the way live.
I know that's right. Well, Preem, we get ready to close it out like we do right here. So we always ask for all of our guests to please let our listeners know how they can follow you, find you, support you on everything that you're doing right now, brother. Well, you know, everything is on the Instagram now as far as the kids do. So my Instagram is at Supreem, SUPREEMDR, but you know, I'm still the original OG. So come to me at the website, which is Supreem, SUPREEM, and thenewexperience.com. That's everything you need to know about me and how to get in touch with me. And of course, Facebook is Supreem Da Rezarekta, and Twitter, Supreem DR, and not Snapchat. I ain't on no Snapchat. You got it. You know, I'm too old for Snapchat. But TikTok, Supreem DR. Everything is mostly Supreem DR or Supreem Da Rezarekta. I'm Googleable. So all you have to do is just type in Supreem Da Rezarekta in the Google search, and everything about me will come up. And there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. Yeah, speaking of what you got going on, tell us about supposed to be putting your paws on somebody. What's going on, fam? What's up with that? Hey, yo, I was supposed to do this boxing match with this rapper named Stitches, younger guy.
and we had a viral moment at a press conference where we kind of started boxing and fighting before we were supposed to. It went viral. So the fight was going to be one of the biggest fights in hip hop celebrity boxing history. But the guy pulled out of it. So from that, I was turned off. I didn't want to do it no more and decided, but it's always been in the back of my mind. Like I said, I'm a Rocky fan. So I was like, what if? So apparently me and Damon Feldman, who is celebrity boxing president, are friends. But he always say, why don't you get in the ring again? I'm like, nah, there's no need for me to do it. So I guess he got a fake Drake, a guy that imitates Drake boxing. And that piqued up my eyebrows. And that made me share the footage of me and the guy going crazy at the press conference. And I said, you know what? If I do it, I want to fight fake Drake. Even though he already had an opponent. Because to me, it was just, I'm fighting for hip hop at this point. There's no biting allowed. So you're not supposed to take nothing from nobody in hip hop. But this new hip hop, they want you to sound like everybody. You can take somebody out. Then I feel like Drake is original enough that it should not be. He's so original and so big. You crazy why you bite Drake? So I was like, yeah, I'll fight him. But he was like, well, we can't fight him. But how about you fight the champion? Which is a good friend of mine. You know, I know him. I know the champ. And I'm like, well, that'd be a good fight. But we two good guys. Everybody like him. Everybody like me. And he was like, no, trust me. Everybody want to see it. And he put up the picture of us facing off as a joke. And everybody went crazy. Like, oh, my God, Supreme is about to fight Hazel. So we had to run with it. So we was like, we're going to have a good, friendly fight. We're going to make the best man win. That gets me to finish what I started in 2016 that never got completed. That gives him the fight for it. It's a new title called the Continental America Heavyweight Championship. So we're fighting for a belt. And I was like, let me see if I can do it. You know, let me see if all that Rocky talk and Rocky dreams, if it's really going to be true. So I've been training. And October 15th at the Showboat in Atlantic City, it goes down, and they got fake Drake fighting. Supposed to be fighting Lamar Odom, but he got another guy he's fighting. But I still want to fight fake Drake. So if I beat the champion, I want fake Drake next.
Say less, man. And I want to give you a special shout out to a show that we are both alum from.
Oh yeah, so
happy 30th anniversary to you, bro, and to Shelly Shell, Ed Box, oh man, who else up the
Rockstar P. There's so many.
What's my name from up the block?
Ross, Keith from up the block.
He from up the block.
Monica, Monty on the scene.
Monty with a body. Listen, the whole University go. And everybody that came down the line, man, for Urban Expressions. As you know,
young boys and young girls.
Yeah, I still rock with Shelly Shell. We was doing single on Saturday night. She transitioned, and now they doing Grown Folks Radio. So shout out to Shelly Shell, who's still doing it. Philly's Oprah. Don't get it messed up. She's Philly's Oprah. And just shout out, happy anniversary, man. And y'all can come out to help celebrate on September 3rd.
September
2nd. I'm sorry, September 2nd. Come out and
all the
shake your thing, party,
and
get down with the 30th anniversary celebration. You might see Supreme out there. I ain't gonna say you are. I ain't gonna say you ain't, but you gotta come out to find out, baby.
Yeah,
all right. So this is our closing remark. What you got for the young folks out there, the up and comers, Supreme, when it comes to this business, baby?
Hey, hard head, make a soft behind. But I was hard head, but I had somebody that helped me avoid a lot of pitfalls that I respected. So a lot of you guys that don't have no respect or think the older generation can't tell you nothing, believe me, there's something that the generation before you could keep you from falling down a lot of pits. So, you know, give a listen. There's a lot of things you young cats can keep us hip on how to be in the lane. Like I listen as well as tell. So I think it's a two-way street. So I think we need to keep hip hop what it originally started was peace, unity, love, and having fun. And I think the next generation after this is going to be so much better if we get back to the OGs teaching and the young G's listening as well as inspiring. You know what I'm saying? Each older and younger inspiring each other to keep on going.
You heard it right there. Mouth.
Praying for president.
King for president. There it is. Yeah, anything might be better than what we got going on right now, man. I don't know between the Democrats and Republicans, man. But King Don, you're closing this up.
They say, are you a Republican or a Democrat? I said, no, I'm a Christian.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm a Christian. I don't know what's going on in this world.
Yeah, it's wild out there. King Don, what you got for closing, sir?
Well, what I have for closing is very simple. I'd like to thank our guest for coming on. And I have immense respect for him bringing the knowledge that he brought as to what took place in your day and in his day, what the pitfalls were and how to avoid them, and how to get around in this industry. Because as one of my friends said that was a guest on here, Kenny Paulson, learn to take care of business or business will take care of you. So with that, all I can say is Supreme,
Yes,
I appreciate you for being here, brother. And I thank you.
Thank you for having me. This has been a great interview. It's been a good roll down memory lane, and I learned a lot too. So I thank y'all guys also.
Thank you, bro. And in closing, I just want to say again, thank you to one of my good big brother and kings of the city who held it down for Philly during a time when it was tough coming into this music business, breaking in, especially from the street level. So we had to find ourselves and make ourselves chameleons in this business, coming out of Philly, because Philly was known for R&B. Philly was, we had kind of didn't get the look that most of us thought we deserved in hip hop, but we persevered. So I want to thank Green for coming through and dropping the jewels that he dropped. And as always, the lesson and what we try to give you here on Inside the Music is pay attention to your surroundings, learn your craft and your business, understand, study the business, be better than just a talent. Because when it all comes down to it, the talent is the least paid person in the situation. The writers, the producers actually make more money than the person that you see in the cars, in the Benzes, in the gold chains and the things like that. So learn the business, get your knowledge up, get your studying on, learn how to do more than just perform. Because all it takes for somebody else to write a song, you perform it well enough, everybody else is making more money and you making pennies. Because everything is coming out of your check. Everything is coming out of your check. So please take the time to learn the business. Make sure you grow yourself while you're growing your product and growing your image. And with that being said, right here on Inside the Music, the truth about the truth, as always, we have come to you as your big homie, TC Caldwell, BKA Stormy Weathers, the King, KC Cousin, who had to jump off because he always got them gigs that he working, King, DC, Don DaCosta, and the man behind the plan, K9, the great. And as always, Inside the Music is brought to you by 3 Hours Productions, MovemRadio.com, Studio 204, 176, Source 3 Entertainment, and Storm E. Weathers Entertainment. And when you come here, make sure you always do the right thing, because it's the right thing to do. And remember, if don't nobody else tell you, we love it, because God told us to. Do the right thing, because it's the right thing to do. And holler at your big homie. He always in his office. Peace. Be around.